Joining me now is Dr. Mendoza, the Executive Director, co-founder of the Henry Jackson Society. And that is the point, isn't it? I mean, it's, on the face of it, whenever we talk about Russian spies, there is something sort of slightly exciting. But the problem is we become compromised as a nation.
Yes, totally. I mean, if it is indeed the case, and I'm sure the intelligence services have acted on more than just a hunch in this case to make the arrest, if it is indeed the case that we have had these Russian spies operating here as what your correspondent quite rightly termed as illegals in particular, people who have come over without diplomatic cover and have been operating, in normal lives, in plain sight, as it were, then there are going to be questions, obviously, about what were they doing, what were they trying to achieve, who were they spying on, and what information were they passing on to whoever might have been their handlers?
But how can they find anything if all they're doing is making pies, for example? I mean, allegations that, there they are, perfectly normal, decent human beings, occasionally giving out pies and cakes to their to neighbours. I mean, what could they be doing that the rest of us couldn't do quite easily anyway?
Well, it's interesting to look at that. I mean, obviously, at the far end of the scale, you may recall a TV program called The Americans, where you had all the the sort of the undercover Russian spies in the US under the sort of watch. If you vaguely remember this, it was a quite a gripping show. The point is, they were living ordinary lives, but they were also conducting operations. Now, I'm sure these people were not not allegedly committing murders or things like that. But the reality is, you can pick up a lot of intelligence and you can find a lot of information out that might be of use to your handlers just from every daily interactions, and that's not.
But what though? I mean, genuinely, nothing that you can't find out. I don't know, by going on a YouTube or a TikTok video or just Googling.
Well, some of that will depend on what their missions were. I mean, they may well have been that they've been in certain places. They had, if you look at the employment records of these people, there might have been things within hospitals, within laboratories, within the sort of commercial world that they were specifically looking for. So remember, a lot of this, Penny, is that we just don't understand at the moment the details of this case. These will become apparent down the line.
Yeah. I mean, there will be people now who are looking at their neighbours, the neighbours who might be, I don't know, Bulgarian or indeed Russian or anything else, and just thinking, could they be involved?
Well, obviously, we don't want a red under the bed sort of scandal in this sort of way, and people jumping to conclusions. But what it does remind us is the need to be vigilant, and that what may appear ordinary at first glance might have other sort of hidden connotations. It's interesting, now the stories come out, all these neighbours and others saying, well, there was something a bit strange about how they were living and there was something a little unusual. People obviously don't put two and two together in this way because, four in this case is such an improbable outcome. So, neighbours are inclined to think, oh, this is just normal in that sort of way, and you look at it in that frame. Yeah. But actually, sometimes you have to look at this and go, well, we're in a situation with the Ukraine war. Might there be something a little untoward? And I don't think, again, people should be jumping to conclusions about their neighbours, but if something is a little off, if something strikes you as being unusual, a home that isn't perhaps being lived in quite the way you would expect, then it might be the time to sort of raise that with authorities.
I've never had a pie from a neighbour in my life. Now, Britain has strengthened its security laws recently to counter what is seen as that growing foreign threat. I mean, you saw it in Felix's report there. Not just, of course, from Russia, but also from places like China. What would those measures be?
Well, I think what you've got is the National Security Act has come in basically, and what we're trying to do firstly is to expose, if you like, people who are working for states and haven't in the past had to declare they were doing so. It's sort of foreign agent representation. So that if you're engaged in working for another country, it should be known about. So you shouldn't be able to operate in secret, being paid on the one hand by that country and then operating within, say, the political world or the business world without actually having to declare that. And so the move has been to increase transparency here. And the point is to try and get people to understand what might be happening out there, and to go that if someone is pushing a certain piece of lobbying, if you like, there might be an ulterior motive, and it might be being pushed by a hostile state, and people should at least have the facts before them when making decisions.
I mean, from the previous sort of, for the last week or so, I mean, you just think, ask a freedom of information request. I mean, that seems to be the way to get a lot of information out. Alan, thank you very much.